Okay, so now let's talk about drill down to a very specific level of detail here, which today are these 7 mindsets of a successful consulting business owner. And each of them are important at each of those steps that I just described to you, but for different reasons. So I'll just walk through them at a very high level, and then we're going to take some time with each of the 7 in more detail and give you some examples. So when you're thinking about being a business owner and that you are a business owner, it's really important to cultivate these 7 mindsets. And I'm going to describe to you what they are, and then I will give you some tools to figure out how to put this into practice. Because it's not just about knowing that it's important, but it's also knowing how to implement and strengthen these mindsets, and to notice where you might not necessarily be dialed in terms of these mindsets as well. So the first is being confident. The next is being certain. The next is clear, committed, connected to money. This is money mindset. Really thinking of yourself as a consulting business owner and having that identity. So many of us have spent so much time in corporate and not really realizing how much it takes to completely shift your identity from being an employee over and all of the things that we're just trained and socialized to think, and purposefully seeing where those are getting in your way as a business owner and being able to shift those. And then finally, the capacity to have. So those are the 7 those mindsets of a successful consulting business owner. And now let's drill into each one of them to bring them to life. Oh, before we do though, I do want to say this is not about positive thinking. We're not here just to help you to think more positively or to, think that you need to be thinking positively all the time. These are very specific mindsets that we want to cultivate that will help you to reach the goals that you've got, whether it's moving from dependent into creating, or creating into known for, or known for into sought after, whether it's creating. You might be at 100K in revenue right now and you want to double that to 200K, or you might be at 250 and you want to move to 1 million. Whatever it is for you, this isn't about positive thinking. This is about you really thinking as a business owner and cultivating these mindsets to help make it easier for you to get to where it is you want to go. So let's dive into the first one, feeling confident, thinking about yourself in a way that creates confidence. It's very common. So the way I'll structure this for you is, what might it look like right now for you? And these are some of the most common things that I hear from consultants, and what holds them back. And then we'll talk about what the impact of that thought process is, and what you might consider shifting it into to increase your confidence. So what I often hear from independent consultants, and this comes from brand new consultants. Maybe you have one project under your belt, or you've been doing this for 20 years. I hear these types of things so frequently. I don't know what I'm doing as a business owner. I'm really good at implementing and working with clients after I land them, but I'm not good at running a business. I'm not good at selling. I'm not good at marketing. I'm not as good as fill in the blank, someone who's got a marketing background, for example, or I'm not as good as someone who's got experience selling from their corporate life, or I'm new to this. I even hear independent consultants who've been working for 20 years tell me they're new at this. They've landed clients in one way, and they need to land it want to land clients in a different way, and they feel new to this. And what happens from these may just feel factual to you. They may feel factual to you. Well, you could give me a lot of evidence about how you don't know what you're doing, or you're new to whatever it is that you're working on right now, with respect to your business goals, or that you aren't as good as another person that you might be comparing yourself to. They may feel very factual, but these are not facts, hard and facts, fix facts. These are thought processes that you've got going in your mind that then your brain is trained to go find evidence to prove you right. That's what our brain does. It goes out and finds evidence to prove to you that whatever it is you're thinking, even though these are not to your advantage, is right. And what we want to be thinking about is, what is the impact of having these types of thought processes that just kind of seem to happen or seem factual, what is the impact of those thought processes? The impact in these examples, for example, is that you feel hesitant or you might feel reserved. You might think that you should wait to pursue certain types of business until you get better at selling, for example. Or you might even come across as more junior than you are. I work with independent consultants sometimes who kind of describe to me what they do. And the way that I take that, based on their words alone and the way they're coming across, I may take away from our conversation that they are an executive assistant. And it turns out that they're actually a chief of staff, that they're someone who basically runs a business for the CEO and for the executive team. But because of the way they're thinking about themselves and the way that they're thinking, all of these thought patterns that they've got going on in their mind, they're coming across in so much more of a junior way than compared to the reality of it. So those are some of the impacts of having this type of mindset that is a less suboptimal, we'll call it, mindset as it relates to confidence. So the shift that you want to be starting to think about is, number one, knowing what it is that you are thinking first and foremost. And I'll give you a very tangible tool to do that here in a minute. And then understanding what the impact of those thought processes are. And then purposefully shifting your mindset into a zone that creates confidence for you. For example, I am a business owner who can figure this out. I'm different than so-and-so. It has nothing to do with being good as or better than. It's just that you're different. Helping yourself to see that that the competition that feels like it's out there is not necessarily a competition, in the sense that clients aren't choosing between you and someone else in so many different scenarios. You're oftentimes competing against yourself. Or shifting your mindset into this headspace of, I've done this, my past experience counts. There's so many times where I work with independent consultants and they tell me, I've never done this type of consulting before. I'm new to this. And we start talking about what they did in corporate, and they were doing the exact same type of thing. They're just not giving themselves credit because it wasn't in a quote unquote consulting capacity. Your experience counts. So from a confidence perspective, it's really important to know where your mindset is right now, what the impact of that mindset is, and then start thinking about ways that you can shift the way you're thinking about yourself and what you do and how you do it in a way that builds the confidence ahead of time. Okay, let's move into the next one now, certainty. The next one is creating certainty for yourself. It may sound like the before, when you haven't built out this successful consulting business mindset in an intentional way. It may sound like, well, I can't compete with McKinsey or Deloitte or those boutique consulting firms. I'm just an independent consultant. Or I don't set goals because I'm not sure what's possible. So oftentimes I ask independent consultants, what's your goal? And they know I'm going to ask it because I tell them before we have a call, I'm going to ask you what your goal is. And they say, I just don't even know what's possible. I don't have a goal right now. When you come at your business in this way, where you think that your success is not guaranteed, where you think that it's likely it might not be possible for you to be successful, you end up creating more confusion for yourself. You end up creating resistance for yourself to implementing very simple processes in your business, and you end up creating a delay in the type of results that you could be achieving for yourself because of the way you're thinking. It's not because you can't compete with McKinsey. It's because of the way you're thinking. It's not because you don't have guarantee to create the results you want to create. It's because you're worried that you might feel disappointed if you set a goal and don't achieve all of it. So that's the impact that you have when you're not operating from a certainty-based mindset. The shift can be changing your thought process from I can't compete to ideal clients want what I bring to the table. You may have some background as, in corporate consulting, like I do at Accenture, for example. You might even be a Deloitte or McKinsey or EY alumni, and likely you would agree with me that a lot of times the people that work in those organizations have a good background and a strong background, but it can be much more. The client never knows who they're going to get. The client doesn't know who's going to be on their project team, or if they just graduated with their MBA or have 5 years of experience, they have no idea. Clients, when they're working with you, they know what they're going to get. Those ideal clients that you're targeting want what you have to bring to the table. When you're shifting your mindset into that and looking for evidence to support that, you're going to put yourself into a more certain mindset. You're not second guessing. You know that those ideal clients want what you bring to the table, and it's a matter of finding those ideal clients for yourself and getting on their calendar for conversations. The other shift that you may consider is thinking about yourself from the perspective of, I set goals and I learn how to hit them. Maybe not 100% all of the time, but you're someone who runs a business, who has goals and puts the strategy and tactics and mindset in place to figure out how to hit those goals, or to do your best to make it happen and learn from that experience, versus avoiding the goals because you're not certain if you'll be able to hit them. Hopefully that gives you a couple of examples of how this certainty type mindset comes into play so often for independent consultants. All right, let's move on to clarity. Creating clarity for yourself, or being clear for yourself, is incredibly important, because when you're not clear, then your potential clients or connectors or channels are not clear either. So what this looks like is you might be thinking to yourself, or even saying out loud, I'm a generalist. I could do anything for anyone. I don't want to limit myself. When you are marketing yourself as a generalist, it's going to be a lot harder for you to move up that curve that we were talking about, because people don't know when to reach out to you. They don't know what your expertise is. And you end up under earning as a result of it, because you end up people don't know that you're there with the type of expertise that you have and available as someone who they can lean on as an advisor, as a consultant, to achieve the types of goals that they're looking to achieve. The other impact of a mindset that is not clear is you aren't sure about who your ideal target client is. So again, the messaging that you're putting out there, the time you're spending with networking, the types of people that you're talking with and meeting with might be wide and broad. And as a result, you may be spinning your wheels. Similarly with your niche and specialization, when you don't know what it is that you do, then how would you expect someone else to understand what it is that you do? Same with your unique value proposition. What is it that you bring to the table that's unique, and giving yourself clarity on that's something that the market wants and needs, and that your ideal clients are looking for that. And it's simply a matter of making sure that connection is made. The impact when you don't have clarity around what your business is and isn't, the impact is that you're under earning, or that you're implementing what I call the make it work business model, where you're just a potential client comes to you, you talk yourself into why this would be a good client to have, because you might not have the cash flow that you're looking for right now, or you might have capacity, or you want kind of to take a bird in the hand. And as a result, you end up creating a business model that is not the ideal for you, that doesn't move you up that continuum that maturity curve that I showed you a few slides ago. And so the shift here is that you start thinking about and creating clarity for yourself on purpose and testing it out. So the shift from a mindset perspective is something to the effect of, my specialization is constantly evolving. There's no end state. We're constantly evolving and refining and testing and iterating on specializations and target markets and unique value propositions. You're not here to get a good grade. You're not here to get a pass fail. You're here to create clarity for yourself as a business owner and to go out and test that and refine it and know and shift into the mindset that you can do that and hit your goals. You don't need to somehow work on getting, work in the lab and get really clear and then go out to market. You can go out to market and continuously refine and test. And that's the business, that's the experimental or entrepreneurial mindset that will help you to succeed as an independent consultant. Okay, now let's talk about commitments. Commitment sounds like if you're struggling with this area, it may sound like I'm worried this won't work, or I might need to go back to corporate, or I'm not on track. It makes sense. I should change my goals because I'm not on track. That is those are examples of mindsets that are not in the committed zone. And as a result, you are likely wasting time second guessing. You're likely not going out to test out different approaches or strategies, not even giving yourself a chance to figure out what it is that you are trying to accomplish. And so the mindset shift that will help you get into the committed space as a business owner is simply making a decision. This is what I'm doing. I love doing it for 90 days. I'm just going to go pursue this strategy, for example, for 90 days, and then I'll reconsider. So for example, if you're in this space right now between should I go back to corporate or shouldn't I? Or one of you mentioned that you're looking at shifting, what you're offering, for example. Put a stake in draw a line in the sand, as they say, draw a line in the sand, make a decision, commit to it, and commit to not second guessing it for a period of time, whether it's 6 weeks or 90 days, whatever makes the most sense for you. And just cut off all other options to make it work so that you're not spending all of this time and energy, emotional energy, second guessing what it is that you're doing. High quality connection to money. This is money mindset. This is an incredibly important area to focus on as an independent consultant, because your mindset likely came from what you were taught to think when you were in a corporate environment. And the way we think about money in general as humans, from a socialization perspective, and the way we're taught to think about money from a corporate perspective is very different than what's required for you to be thinking about money as a business owner and to succeed as an independent consultant. This is something that's really important to really audit and figure out how you might be thinking now and how you might shift that in order to help accelerate the goals that you're trying to achieve. For example, it's so common for me to hear from independent consultants to tell me, oh, my type of client won't pay more. My type of client will only pay by the hour. The economy is bad, so it's hard for me to land work right now, or hard for me to land work that's at a certain fee structure right now. I don't need to make more, or I shouldn't make more. I have enough is the opposite side of that. The other mindset that can be common is making more money will require me to work more. So it feels like you have to choose between making more money and how much work-life balance you have. And so the impact of those types of thought processes, which I want to emphasize are thought processes, not facts and just the way the world works, are that you start making excuses. Of course, if you think the economy is bad, and of course we could go look at a lot of different data points and news and all the things that generally at a high macro level, there are things in the economy that are not amazing right now. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that has to be a limiting factor for you in your business. When you operate your business from the perspective of the economy is bad, it just sets you up to make excuses and to not figure out ways to be creative in running your business and hitting whatever goal it is you want to hit. It also creates under earning. It creates gaps in revenue, these thought processes. It creates unnecessarily ceilings for you. And it may make you feel like you're forced to choose between taking time off and making money, or increasing your revenue goal and feeling like you're going to have to work more in order to hit that goal. Those are some of the impacts of a lower quality connection to money. The shifts in mindset could look like thinking about yourself and your business from the perspective of there's no ceiling to what you could make. It's possible there's plenty of opportunity. It's possible for you to earn more and work less. There's nothing good or bad about making money. Shifting your mindset from these more fixed mindsets into mindsets that open up the possibility for you to hit your goals and to make the money you want to make, and to have the other components to your business that you want to have in place, like your that work-life balance schedule and your the type of work you want to be doing and nature of work and feeling fulfilled through that. Okay, the next mindset, number 6, I believe, is the consulting business owner identity. This is you thinking of yourself as a consulting business owner versus thinking of yourself as an employee, or not even really realizing or thinking about this intentionally at all. The way this looks before you put the mindset in place and really cultivate your identity as a business owner is you might think about things in a hierarchical fashion. Like, if you were comparing what you're doing now and the types of clients you're working with and who your stakeholders are, you might think of them as above you or more important than you, or with, an important title, because you're taught to think in a hierarchical way from the corporate experience that you've had, versus knowing now that you're a business owner who's a peer to the stakeholders that you're working with, and they are looking for your expertise and advice. And in exchange for, them, you looking for them to engage you as a client. So deconstructing that can be so incredibly important. Deconstructing that time equals money, that time you spending more and working harder is a reflection of the value that you have to deliver. Also thinking about, in a corporate setting, there are so many different roles that different people play, right? And we're in an ecosystem. We've got salespeople, we've got marketing people, we've got financial people. When you think about yourself as just a cog in that process, which works perfectly in corporate, it doesn't extend over when you're thinking about yourself as a business owner and the identity that goes with that. The impact of not creating a business owner identity for yourself is that you can create a dynamic where you feel inferior or less than your stakeholders or buyers, because you've got that hierarchical view in your mind. You might not think that it's okay to approach them, for example, because that's kind of how it worked when you were in corporate, as an example. You might waste your time and be less efficient because you're trying to show value, because you think that working more creates more value. Or you might not even really be thinking about yourself intentionally or operating intentionally or putting processes intentionally in your business that relate to all the different hats that you wear. And so the shift here, when you think about it from a mindset perspective, is starting to intentionally build up your identity as a business owner and intentionally thinking of yourself as a peer to your clients, that you are, and intentionally thinking about all the roles that you play, and that you're in control of the results as a business owner, and building up, really thinking about the one, I love reverse engineering this. If ultimately, when you go up that curve that we talked about a little bit earlier, to become sought after for what you do, and you think about yourself as $1 million business owner, as an example, running a business, working 3 days a week, like, what does that version of yourself think about your business and the decisions that you're making and the business that you're pursuing? Okay, the last of the 7 mindsets to grow your independent consulting business is what I call the capacity to have. And this might sound strange, but we create a reality for ourselves in our mind that is what we're used to, the comfort zone. And that comfort zone may be something that you created when you were in corporate. You're used to making $300,000 a year. You're used to making $500,000 a year, whatever the number is. You're used to working around 50 hours a week. And that's what we end up just recreating, what we're used to, because we think it's what we're capable of, for example. But if you if you think about that, the impact of that thought, those thought processes and those collections of belief systems, you end up recreating your past life in some form or fashion. Now you have more risk though, because you're an independent consultant. You're responsible for everything, but you've recreated it in just a slightly different way as a freelancer or a consultant. And sometimes when you start inching up to the place where you have more than what you had previously, it can be very common to self-sabotage in different ways. And so the shift from a capacity hab perspective is to start thinking about yourself from where it is that you want to be, like the top of that curve, and operating kind of backwards versus thinking you're striving to get it. Opening the door to the possibility, for example, that it's possible to work 3 days a week and hit your revenue goals that are double what you've ever accomplished in the past. And to know that the past has no bearing on what you're able to accomplish in the future. So cultivating these 7 mindsets is really important for the reasons we've just walked through. And so now you might be asking, well, how do I do this? You gave me a lot of examples, Melissa, about how do I actually put this into practice? Because so often we think it's that we create these mindsets and we build these mindsets and we strengthen them by the results that we create for ourselves. Like I can feel more confident, Melissa, after I've landed a few clients, or I can increase my fees as soon as I feel more clear about what it is that I do and what those ideal clients that I work with. Or I can feel, once I have more clients coming to me versus from an inbound perspective, I can feel more like a business owner who knows what they're doing. But the truth is that it's actually the opposite, that you want to be cultivating these 7 mindsets ahead of time to create the results that you're looking for. That the 7 mindsets are not a byproduct of achieving these results, that it's important to have these mindsets in order to achieve these results.